Divination is a game that has an interesting starter point for a philosophical argument against fate and free will, but also a interesting argument about whether life matters or whether it's pointless or not, and an interesting spin on nihilism. However, these are meaty topics, and in a game that can be completed extremely quickly, it doesn't give anything nearly enough depth or space to breathe in what is a really excellent premise, lopsidedly delivered. In Divination, you play as a fortune teller, the sentient pair of hands, and across 4 different chapters with 4 clients, you'll give a rune reading. Essentially, though, this boils down to a very binary yes-no decision on a specific question that these clients ask you. And then depending on what you give them, they will then follow your advice because you're world-renowned as being exact on what happens following your readings. And so ultimately, their decisions for these 4 clients put them in pivotal positions in what will happen to civilization in this next kind of war of robots and humans and AI all going at it with each other. And so your readings for them will ultimately change the fate of mankind. I love this as a concept. I think it's fantastic, and the visuals really sell this. There's quite a decent soundtrack going on in the background too, and it offers an interesting fate versus free will discussion, which I've had actually outside of this game. Because if you think about it, how much of a ripple effect would going to see a fortune teller or being challenged of free will versus fate actually changes your trajectory in life? Because if you go to a fortune teller, for example, and you would say, oh, I want to have a job and move to the city, is that on the cards for me? Let's keep it not end of the world related like Divination is. You would potentially be given a yes, that is in your cards, and then you'd start making choice decisions to make that happen for you. But if they was no, you are going to be destined to live in a country farm, and then you was no, then that's you rallying against fate. And then that's pushing you in that trajectory anyway, which might actually be your real trajectory. So then you're what is fate? What is free will? And I was really hoping that Divination would start to go down that path. But because each character takes you at your word, it's quite easy to see through what's going on story-wise as you piece bits together, putting different characters in different situations with different charges of emotions to get different results. The problem with this game is its length. It's completable in 25 minutes, and I read everything. And the 4 decisions for the runes, yes, you get to arrange runes in nice pretty patterns, and it gives you a little diagram in front of you that looks mysterious, but it really is just a choice in a visual novel story between yes and no, truth or lies, whatever it is that you're choosing between. And then the story branches out for these 4 characters into 2 shoots off from the story for each, but then they funnel back into basically a win or lose scenario for the game at the end. So really, it kind of answers that fate versus free will issue in that you have to have so many things align to get fate to play out in a certain way, and you can manipulate free will to get there if you want to. It's just you're going to have about a 25% chance or 12.5% chance of getting there. So yeah, all of these meaty topics, really fascinating backdrop, totally glazed over by what is a really short and sweet experience. Now, it's priced accordingly on PC. The Switch, PS4 and PS5 versions I think are overpriced for what you get content-wise here, unfortunately. It's also heavily storified around self-harm and suicide ideation. So if those are triggers for you, do not touch this game because everyone's blowing their brains out every 5 minutes. But yeah, what I'd really like to see is this concept expanded into something that really plays with the ripple effects of free will versus fate, because it's a fascinating topic, really interesting world and world build-up. Just, it's over in 20 minutes, so I feel like I was just scratching the surface and I was desperate for more and a bigger experience. Written review over on highplanegames.com. Any comments or questions, leave them down below. But yeah, stream sale only on this one for me. Take care. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.